welcome back to AM Philadelphia. I got a trivia question for you, and I don't know if you're going to get the answer right, but let's try it. I'm going to mention 4 big league television programs, and I want to know what they have in common. Those 4 programs are Heart to Heart with the lovely Stephanie Powers and Robert Wagner. There's T.J. Hooker. There's also Believe It or Not and Fantasy Island. What do they all have in common? This man, he's the boss. Please meet Herman Rush. He's the president of Columbia Pictures TV Group and largely responsible for bringing those 4 successful programs into our living rooms. And I might add, a Philadelphia native, yes, and a Temple graduate, could have gone anywhere, chose Temple. And it was after Temple that you went west.
Just about. Went to New York first, then to California.
If you could put together the ideal package, the best TV show, best star, best actor and actress, best plot line, what would it be? A show that would be an instant hit.
That's an unfair question.
Why? Why?
I love all my children. Each show, I guess the dream show is one that gets the best audience, stays on the air the longest, the most number of years. And each show that we put together is a dream show. Each one is our favorite. And we think that one will be the one that will succeed and last the longest. We never put together what we think would be a failure.
Let's talk about T.J. Hooker, which right now is running on ABC on Saturday night. T.J. Hooker, William Shatner, Adrian Zmed, Heather Locklear. Probably the most done theme in television has been The Police Show, or certainly one of the most done. What's different about T.J. Hooker?
It's the relationship. It is Bill Shatner. It is the relationship that he has not only to the others in the cast, but to the audience. Mm-hmm. And that comes across. He is a fine performer, and if you watch that show, you see that one-to-one relationship that he is able to generate.
Something else you see a lot of on T.J. Hooker and on a lot of primetime television, you see this kind of stuff. Car chases, shoot 'em up, bang up kinds of things. You have to do this to get audience. Is this a must-do if you want to get viewers?
No, you can do a show like Police Story, which was much more cerebral, but this is an action show, and because it's an 8 o'clock show, it calls for more action than a 10 o'clock show might call for.
I want to have our viewers watch the scene that's about to come up, because I want to ask you specifically. I mean, you're the guy up front that's signing the checks, and you're the man who's kind of overseeing the production of these kinds of things. And I wonder, to see this little clip, which runs all together for about a minute and a half, look at this. Look at that car. What do you pay a guy to do something like that?
It's what do we pay for the car?
Oh, come on. What about the poor guy
There's not a human being in that car.
Is that right?
That's remote control. There's not somebody sitting in that car.
I was going to say that.
But that is an expensive stunt to do. We try to do at least 1 or 2 every week. And they are costly, no question about it.
Is there a formula to it? Does a show, to be a good show, to be a good 60-minute episode, does it have to have 1 or 2 of those kinds of...
Well, it should have a stunt before each commercial break.
Is that right? Is that the way you do it?
That's right. That's the formula.
Okay. TJ is out there in the ocean of prime time, starting to slip a little bit, and one of the things that you're trying to do is resuscitate it. Can you breathe life back into a show that's starting to slip?
Well, the answer to your question is yes. Whether T.J. Hooker is beginning to slip a little bit or not, I don't know. The rating and the share this year is off an average of about 3 percentage points. Mm-hmm. The network average share is off 5 percentage points. So we're actually off less than the other shows on the networks today. There has been an erosion of the audience from the three commercial networks. But shows can be resuscitated. Shows can be given a fresh new look. If you go back historically and look at the Lucy show many years ago, at one point in time, Lucy had a baby, and that gave that show an entire new look. More recently, I guess, Mork and Mindy, when they brought about the pregnancy and having the baby on that show. In the case
so who's going to have a baby on T.J.
Well,
Hooker?
In the case of T.J. Hooker, what we are planning, and nothing is set in concrete at this time, we are planning to promote T.J. Hooker to a detective, to take him out of uniform. This will give us a broader scope of action and adventures that he can become involved with. We are introducing a new character that will be a sidekick for Bill Shatner. His name is Charlie Barnett. You might have seen him in D.C. Taxi. He's been on Miami Vice.
So then what happens to his current partner?
Well, they will remain in the show, but the stories will be weighted slightly differently. And hopefully that will give that show a new look to it.
It's fascinating. If you would like to know and get in on this how a TV show is put together, how it gets on the air, how it stays on the air, whether you can breathe new life into it or not, Herman Rush is with us, and our telephone number is 263-6480 for any questions you have about primetime TV, where many are called, but few stay around for a long time. Another show that you were responsible for, and I think that probably many would agree was certainly one of television's most entertaining moments, was Heart to Heart. We're going to take a look at a clip from Heart to Heart in just a second, because I know that you've got another project coming up with Robert Wagner that you're going to be telling us about as we continue. Heart to Heart, by the way, it was on the air for how many years?
Heart to Heart was on for five and a half seasons.
Okay. Chemistry, Stephanie Powers, Robert Wagner, is that what kept the show on the air?
I think it's a combination of the writing, of the production values, certainly of the chemistry between those two, the relationship, stories that the audience could relate to, that they liked. There's so many intangibles. It's difficult to pinpoint any single element that makes any show successful.
How about Where It Is? That was on Tuesday evening, 10 o'clock. Was that a good, bad, indifferent spot? Does it make any difference?
It makes a great deal of difference. You could have a show successful 10 o'clock Tuesday and unsuccessful 8 o'clock on Wednesday. It depends what the competition is. It depends what the lead-in is.
Okay, let's talk about the lead man, Robert Wagner. Did It Takes a Thief? Did Heart to Heart? What else was he in? I think that Switch. Virtually every show he's done has been successful.
R.J. Wagner has never done anything that has not been successful. And because of that, because of the acceptability that he has with the audience, we are planning another show starring R.J. Wagner that will be on the fall this season, coming fall. Well, the working title is called 55 Lime Street, which is the address of a major insurance company similar to Lloyd's of London, in London. And R.J. will play an insurance investigator who lives somewhere in the South, in Kentucky or Carolina, who raises thoroughbred racehorses, who is very successful, very wealthy, and he's only called upon for those multi-million-dollar insurance investigations.
Is it true that the character he plays is a widower?
Yes.
Okay.
This time the relationship will not be with Stephanie Powers.
Let me ask you something. Here is this man who is certainly one of the more public widowers in real life, having lost his wife, Natalie Wood, in a tragic accident several years ago. The American public knows that this man is a widower. Does that help in packaging a show?
No. The theory behind having him a widower in this show was to allow him to have a maturity and still have relationship with other women each week. Okay.
Herman Rush is with us, a fascinating man who will tell us about primetime TV. As AM Philadelphia continues with your calls in just a moment. Don't go away.
Listen, if you're involved in a long-distance romance, I gotta tell you something. Sprint has something you're gonna love. Volume discounts. You save from your first call, of course. And then when you spend $25 a month, and you know you will, you save even more. And it keeps going like that. Sprint's volume discounts are perfect for guys like us who didn't happen to fall in love with the girl next door. Call Sprint. Find out about it.
Thriftway Supermarkets, where you save every day.
Savings are in full bloom during our spring celebration. Convenience Pack Loves Diapers, especially priced at $7.99. Save on Triple Cola, Orange or Ginger Ale, 2-liter bottle, regular or diet, 2 for 99 cents. And Peter Pan Peanut Butter, 18-ounce jar, only $1.29. Independently owned, over 80 locations to serve you.
I'm Phil Rizzuto, announcing new convertible option mortgage plans from the Money Store. These plans offer first and second mortgages and are in addition to our long-term fixed-rate loans. You get the advantage of a lower interest adjustable rate plus the option to convert to a fixed-rate plan. Don't forget, qualified borrowers get instant approval and fast service. Rates as low as 12.5%. Call toll-free 1-800-221-9000.
Hi, welcome back to AM Philadelphia. We're talking with Herman Rush about what makes a successful TV show, and let's go right to your phone calls this morning on AM Philadelphia because I know that we have a lot of TV fans in the audience. Good morning. You're on AM Philadelphia. Go ahead, please.
Hi. I was wondering, is there any way that maybe Heart to Heart would get put back on the air?
Not in the sense of new productions or new episodes, but the existing 100 episodes of Heart to Heart will be back on the air on local stations around the country.
Could you tell me why it was dumped? I mean, it didn't seem to be doing that bad in the ratings.
Well, I agree with you. I asked the same question of ABC Network at the time.
And what was the answer?
They felt that the show was tired and that they would rather see R.J. Wagner and Stephanie in some new vehicle, and they took a calculated risk. The truth of the matter is 10 o'clock Tuesday has not yet bounced back with the same audience share that Heart to Heart had. I think it was a mistake.
Okay, thank you very much. Does that make any difference? I mean, obviously, you're a salesman, and you're trying to sell a product, and when you get the call from New York that says we're going to bounce the show, is there really that much you can do?
Well, we try to do everything we can. We try every maneuver, every salesman trick in the book. But in the case of Heart to Heart, there was not much we could do.
Okay, let's take another call. Good morning, you're on AM Philadelphia. Go ahead, please, with your question for Herman Rush.
Yes, Mr. Rush, I was interested. I'm a recent graduate from Temple University in communications, and I was interested in knowing how would a student, a recent graduate who's interested in entering the production field as possibly a researcher or a production assistant, get, how would you go about entering the field?
I was a graduate of Temple University, too. I knocked on a lot of doors. I made a lot of visits, had a great many interviews, and I paid my dues by starting with whatever job I could get in the industry. I started also working here locally in Philadelphia at this station at one time, at one of the other stations in town, eventually went to New York, and then to California. There is no shortcut.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are you there because you're tough? You're a tough guy?
I don't think so.
But I mean,
Do I look like a tough guy?
If you've got, oh, come on. Our floor director, Steve Sachs, is your first cousin. He tells me what a great guy you are, but you've got millions of bucks at your disposal. You got to be a tough guy, right?
I don't know if you have to be tough. I think you have to perhaps be used to rejection. Not every show that you attempt to put together or attempt to sell gets sold or gets on the air, nor those that do get on the air are accepted by the public or by the network. So I think you have to be tough in that sense.
Okay. Let's take another call. Good morning, you're on AM Philadelphia. Go ahead, please, with your question for Herman Rush.
Hello, Mr. Rush. I'm a communications student at LaSalle University, and I'm very curious to find out how a writer who has a new idea for a TV show may come about to bring that to an executive.
Well, I think the first step is to get it to a recognized professional agent, a literary agent, a talent agent of one nature or another. Most of the studios, as well as the networks, will not read or look at unsolicited material. They are prone to lawsuits. So it is best to come through a professional agent. You must get your material to an agent. If he likes what he reads, if he will champion your cause, he will get it to the appropriate producers.
Okay, good luck. A lot of communication students watching this morning. The biggest controversy in television over the last 20 years has been sex and violence. Many groups say there's too much. But don't you have to have a show that's got some of it? If you have a show that doesn't have any violence, doesn't have any sex, are people going to watch?
The answer to that, I think, Wally, is yes. People will watch. There's a certain amount of violence or action, if you will, if it's not gratuitous, that you do put into a show. It depends what night of the evening that you're on the air. It depends what time period that you're on the air. A show that's on at 10 o'clock will have more action to it, more violence, if you will, than a show that's on at 8 o'clock in the evening.
But people like it.
I think so.
People like sex?
I would think so.
Okay. Thank you for the candid admission. Let's take another call. Good morning, you're on AM Philadelphia.
Yes, when T.J. Hooker, I was wondering what the symbol LCPD means, like where in California?
Oh, on the side of the car.
That is obviously fictitious. It is not based necessarily on Los Angeles or a particular suburb of Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. What's the biggest surprise you've seen in your career? Have you ever seen a really bad show make it?
Well, you know, it's very frustrating. usually the shows that you believe in the most, that you like, sometimes do not make it.
Give me an example.
And those that you did not think were going to make it, do make it.
Give me an
And
example of the
I don't know,
first.
Wally, if I can give you an example, and I'm not sure that that might be unfair to the writer or the producer of such shows, but the industry is full of surprises. And many times, shows that you plan and work on for a year or 2 years, put your heart, your soul into, a great deal of energy, somehow you cannot convince somebody else to look at or to put on the air. And it becomes very frustrating. There is no simple answer to that.
You sound high, though, on the new show with Robert Wagner.
Well, I think as I say, R.J. Wagner's never had anything but successes, and I believe this will be success. It has one of those magic combinations. It's a chemistry of elements that work together. And this has a very good format, a very good writer-producer associated with it. R.J. is into it with his heart, his soul, his integrity. He actually went to London. He met with various international insurance companies so we could understand that character and what a true insurance investigator would do.
And it's already on the fall schedule without a pilot.
That's correct. This was a package that was sold to ABC based on the elements and the concept and Wagner before we shot a sample film.
Well, welcome home to Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us, and
Thank
we'll
you
look
for
for
having me.
the new show with Robert Wagner